My college roommate got knocked up and decided our dorm room was her personal nursery. As if dealing with her morning sickness wasn't enough, she started making insane rules for us to follow. Then she let her husband invade our all-female space, like he owned the place. But the line was crossed when he kicked down the bathroom door while I was naked in the shower. I wasn't going to let them get away with this. Sophomore year started like any other, until the transfer student showed up. She took the bed right next to mine. At first, things were chill. Maybe a little friction here and there, but nothing we couldn't handle. That is until she announced she was breeding. Her name was Tiffany. She was 20, a year older than us, because she flunked a year of high school or something. Before moving in, she braced us with the news that she had an older boyfriend. Last week they got hitched at the courthouse. And this week Tiffany dropped the bomb. She was pregnant. We were stunned. Dating, marriage, fine. Slay queen, whatever. But a baby in a dorm room? We were clueless teenagers. We didn't know how to handle a pregnant woman. What if something happened? Chloe, the nice girl of the group, was the first to speak up, looking nervous. Tiff, you're pregnant. What are you going to do? We're still in school. Tiffany rubbed her flat belly, with this sickeningly smug look plastered on her face. Kyle and I calculated everything. She beamed. If I carry the baby now, I'll pop it out right around summer break. I can recover during the summer and not miss a single class. Chloe looked confused. So you're going to incubate a human while living in a dorm? Tiffany nodded like we were the idiots. Exactly. Kyle said. If I have the kid while studying, I'll graduate as a married woman with a child. Employers love that stability. Then she dropped the real kicker. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to need you guys to take care of me. It takes the village, right? Our dorm is a 4-person suite. The 3 of us, me, Chloe and Quiet Sam, exchanged a look. Are you serious? If Chloe asked. You're really staying in the dorms while pregnant? Duh, Tiffany smirked. I paid the housing fee. Why would I waste money moving out? We didn't know what to say. We figured, hey, it's her life. We should be supportive women, right? So we shut up. We thought we could all just coexist. But that night, Tiffany started issuing her commands. We usually have late classes or labs getting us back to the dorm. Around 9 p.m. that night, Chloe and I walked in exhausted but in good spirits, only to find Tiffany standing there like a warden. Good, you're back. New rules, she announced. Chloe and I glanced at each other. What pregnant women need? Strict sleep schedules. From now on, lights out at 9 p.m. sharp. Need my beauty sleep. I almost laughed. Are you crazy? We have classes until 9 sometimes. We need to shower, study, unwind. 9 p.m. is impossible. I thought I was being reasonable. She rolled her eyes so hard. I thought they get stuck. It's not every night. She snapped. Just figure it out. But I'm not done. She cut me off. My sleep is very light now. Hormones. If you startle me, it could hurt the baby. So when I'm resting, absolutely no noise. That means no showering after 9 p.m. Got it? I couldn't believe the audacity. So we just stay dirty? I challenged. Shower in the afternoon. She shrugged. Tiffany, this is a shared space. You can't just dictate our hygiene. My voice rose a little. I thought standing my ground would work. Instead, the waterworks started. She burst into tears just like that. Harper. Why are you so mean? She wailed, clutching her stomach. Can't you have a little sympathy? We're all girls. Pregnancy is so hard on my body. I was fuming. But Chloe grabbed my arm and shook her head. I swallowed the rage fine. We walked further into the room. Click. He turned the lights off. Immediately I was seeing red. Chloe squeezed my wrist, signaling me to let it go. We brushed our teeth in the dark and climbed into bed to scroll on our phones. Lower your brightness. Tiffany's voice pierced the dark. It's distracting. I angrily yanked my privacy curtain shut. We thought, okay. Early bedtime, we can survive that. We were wrong. It got worse. The next day, Chloe brought lunch back to the room. Tiffany banished her to the hallway or the bathroom to eat. Because she couldn't handle the smell. It wasn't even smelly food. Just a sandwich. Chloe tried to argue and the tears started again. It didn't stop there. No noise before she woke up. No eating in the room, no loud talking. She had to shower first every single time. Because if the hot water ran out, the cold shock might hurt the fetus. She stopped doing her share of the cleaning chores. Because she was on bed rest. Instead, she started treating us like her personal maids. Especially me. Since my bed was connected to her bunk structure, she limited how many times I could climb up and down the ladder. And the fetching, God. The fetching. I'd be lying in bed, headphones on, and she'd start kicking my bed frame. Thump, thump. Harper. Get me my water, Harper. Pick up that pen. Her excuse. I'm pregnant. Climbing down is dangerous. So we aren't your servants. We hit our breaking point on Friday night. We had late lectures. It was pouring rain outside. A total storm. When we got back to the dorm at 9 p.m., we were soaked to the bone. Shivering and covered in mud splatter. Tiffany had skipped class because she was feeling delicate. When we walked in dry and comfortable, Tiffany instantly flipped the light switch off. Click. I was cold, wet and tired. I snapped. I reached over and flipped the light back on. Harper. What the hell? Tiffany shrieked, flipping it off again. I told you 9 p.m. is lights out, Tiffany. Don't be a bitch, I hissed. We just walked through a storm. We're freezing and we need to shower. It's Friday. Cut the crap. I reached for the switch. Slap. I smacked my hand away. I said, no showering, she yelled. The pipes are too loud. I need to sleep. You should have showered this afternoon. We were in class. I screamed. I am covered in dirty rainwater. I am showering. If I get sick, I'll get you sick. Do you want that for the baby? She looked me dead in the eye. If you're sick, go stay at a hotel. Don't infect me. My jaw dropped. You want us to pay for a hotel because it rained? Rules are rules, I sneered. Especially you, Harper. You shake the bed when you move. Don't wake me up, I laughed. A cold, angry laugh. There is no university rule about 9 p.m. bedtimes, I said, stepping closer. There is no rule against eating snacks. There is no rule about how many times I climb my ladder. You're bullying a pregnant woman. Her voice went shrill. I'm living my life. I'm taking a shower. No. I ignored her. I grabbed my towel and pajamas and marched into the bathroom. She pounded on the door like a psycho, screaming that I was abusing her. Then switching to loud fake sobbing. I turned the shower on full blast to drown her out. I stripped down, the hot water finally hitting my freezing skin. I was just rinsing off the soap when it happened. Bam! A deafening crash. The bathroom door flew open, the lock shattering off the frame. It slammed into the tile wall with a violent crack. I screamed instinctively, clutching my thin towel to my chest. Steam billowed out into the cool room. Standing there was a man, Kyle. Before I could process the violation, he lunged. He grabbed a handful of my wet hair and yanked my head back. You think you can bully my wife and kid? You bitch. Let go of me, I shrieked, slipping on the wet tiles. One hand desperately holding the towel to cover my naked body. Say it. Say you won't touch her again. Kyle roared, shaking me like a rag doll. His eyes were wild, aggressive. Chloe and Sam snapped out of their shock and jumped on him, trying to pull him off me. It was chaos, screaming, steam and violence. Finally, the dorm mother, R.A., came running in and pulled him off. I huddled in the corner, shivering, humiliated, checking to make sure I hadn't flashed the hallway of onlookers, gathering at the open door. What is going on here? The RA demanded. She glared at Kyle. You said your wife was in labor. You said it was an emergency. So I let you up. You're up here assaulting girls. My wife is in pain because of her. Kyle pointed a shaking finger at me. I didn't do anything, I yelled. Tears streaming down my face mixed with shower water. I was showering. He kicked the door down. Look at the lock. I wouldn't have kicked it if you weren't abusing her. Kyle spat. Look at this. He pulled out his phone and played a video. It was from 5 minutes ago. Me showering and Tiffany crying outside the door, narrating how cruel we were. She's crying her eyes out and you just ignore her. You know, the stress hurts the baby. Kyle played the protector perfectly. That's out of context, Zoe yelled. Tiffany wouldn't let us turn on the lights or clean up. Liars, Kyle barked. This is bullying, group bullying. The RA sighed, looking at the crying pregnant woman and the hysterical husband. Enough, you two. If you're going to the hospital, go, Harper. Put some clothes on. I felt dirty, violated. I dressed in the broken bathroom, sobbing silently. When I came out, Kyle and Tiffany were still there. Tiffany looked at me with a smirk that chilled my blood. Aren't you going to the hospital? I asked, voice trembling. I feel better now, she scoffed. Kyle staying to make sure I'm safe. I felt sick, I grabbed my bag. I'm leaving. I ran out into the rain, checked into a cheap motel and cried until I choked. I wasn't going to let this slide. Next morning, I called our faculty advisor, Mr. Henderson. I went to his office and laid it all out. The rules, the abuse, the door kicking. Harper. Sit down, Henderson said, looking bored. Look. They are legally married. The school knows about the pregnancy. He broke down the door while I was naked. I was distraught. Look. They filed a complaint against you for harassment. You need to be more understanding. She's carrying a life. I realized then he didn't care. I stormed out. I was pacing around the campus park trying to calm down. I heard familiar voices. I ducked behind a hedge. It was Tiffany and Kyle. Harper actually went to the teacher. The little snitch. Tiffany laughed. Don't worry, babe. Kyle chuckled. I already took care of Henderson. A little gift goes a long way. He's on our payroll now. Good. Harper is so annoying. Just make her life hell. Kyle said. Keep pushing her. Make her move out. If she snaps. Your hormones are fragile and she's bullying you into depression. We'll ruin her reputation online. I stood frozen behind the bush. Oh, you want to play dirty? I pulled out my phone. I had hit record the second I recognized their voices. But this recording wasn't enough. I needed more. I needed undeniable proof of who the real psycho was. I went back to the dorm with a smile on my face. I bought a micro recorder, a spy cam, and I waited. I played the long game for a week. I submitted. Tiffany. Get water. Sure. Wash your panties. Disgusting. But I did it. I let her get comfortable. I let her get arrogant. Friday rolled around again. She decided to escalate things. She placed a plastic jug next to my pillow. What is this? I asked. My piss jug, she said casually. I don't want to walk to the bathroom at night. When I'm done, you empty it. I stared at her. You want me to empty your urine? I can't smell it. It makes me gag. You do it. Be a team player, Harper. I smiled internally. Gotcha. No, I said loudly. Put it on your side. I'm pregnant. You have to help me. I ignored her and turned over. I laid there in the dark. Thump, thump. She started kicking my bed frame again. Harper, wake up. Empty the jug. I pretended to sleep. Then I felt it. Warm. Foul-smelling liquid splashed all over my face and my duvet. Oops. Tiffany giggled in the dark. I sat up dripping with urine. The smell was blinding. This was it. Did you just pour piss on me? I screamed. Chloe turned on the lights. Oh, my God. The smell. Tiffany put on her fake crying face. Instantly it was an accident. I was trying to reach it. Harper wouldn't help me. She grabbed her phone and started recording, immediately crying to her followers about how clumsy she was and how mean her roommates were. She posted it to the university group chat. Perfect, I whispered. What? She sniffled. I said, perfect. I pulled out my phone and set it up on my desk. You want to make this public, Tiff? Let's make it public. I started a live stream. The camera on my phone was steady, surprisingly steady given that I was shaking with adrenaline and rage. The live icon flashed red in the corner. Viewers were trickling in, 5, 10, then 50. It was late, but college students are nocturnal creatures. "Say hi, Tiffany," I said, my voice eerily calm. I panned the camera down to my soaked duvet, the yellow stain spreading across the gray fabric, then to my dripping hair, and finally to the plastic jug lying on the floor. "Get that out of my face!" Tiffany shrieked, shielding her eyes from the flash. She looked pathetic, huddled in her blankets, but the malice in her eyes was visible even through her fingers. "You attacked me. You knocked it over." "Really?" I walked closer to her bunk. The comments were flying up the screen now. "WTF is that? Is that piss? Dude, that's Tiffany from Psych 101. Because 30 seconds ago, I narrated for the audience, you were giggling about how clumsy you were. And yesterday, your husband kicked down the bathroom door while I was naked. And the day before that, you told us we couldn't shower because the noise hurt the fetus." I turned the camera on myself. I looked like a swamp creature, hair plastered to my skull with urine, mascara running, eyes hard as flint. I live in room 304, North Hall. My roommate, Tiffany, just poured a gallon of days-old urine on me while I was sleeping because I refused to be her maid. This is what we've been living with for a month. "Turn it off!" Tiffany screamed. She lunged for the phone, but she was slow and heavy. I sidestepped her easily. "Chloe," I said, not looking away from the lens. "Call the campus police. And call the real police. This is biological assault." Chloe, who had been frozen in horror near the door, finally snapped into action. She grabbed her cell and bolted into the hallway. "You're ruining my life," Tiffany wailed, realizing the viewer count had hit 300. "I'm pregnant. You're stressing the baby. You should have thought about that before you turned our dorm into a hazmat zone," I said. I ended the stream and saved the video. Then I uploaded it immediately to the university subreddit, Twitter, and TikTok with the caption, #dormnightmare, #roommate from hell. I didn't clean up. I stood there, smelling of ammonia and vengeance, waiting for the flashing lights. Chapter 2, The Bribe. The police arrived 20 minutes later. 2 uniformed officers and the resident director, a woman named Mrs. Gable who looked like she'd been woken up from a deep sleep and was ready to kill someone. The smell hit them the moment they walked in. One of the officers actually gagged and covered his nose. "Jesus Christ," the officer muttered. "What happened here?" Tiffany immediately launched into her act. She was sobbing, clutching her belly, rocking back and forth. "She assaulted me. She tried to hit me and she knocked over my medical collection jug. She's crazy." Mrs. Gable looked at me. I was standing by the window, arms crossed, still dripping. "Officer," I said, my voice flat. "I would like to press charges for assault with bodily fluids. I have video evidence of the aftermath, and I have audio recordings of her husband and her admitting to a conspiracy to harass me out of my housing." Tiffany stopped crying instantly. "What?" I pointed to the hidden spy cam on my desk, a tiny black cube blending in with my speakers. "That camera has been rolling for 72 hours. It caught you telling me to empty the jug. It caught me refusing. It caught you waiting until I was asleep, uncapping it, and dumping it on my head. And it caught you laughing." The color drained from Tiffany's face. She looked like a ghost. "I want her arrested," I said to the cops. "And I want a restraining order." We need to review the footage, the officer said, his demeanor shifting from annoyed to serious. He looked at Tiffany with undisguised disgust. Ma'am, get dressed. You're coming down to the station to answer some questions. I can't, she shrieked. I'm high risk. You seemed mobile enough to empty a jug of piss on a sleeping girl, the officer noted dryly. Let's go. As they escorted a wailing Tiffany out, I looked at Mrs. Gable. I need a new room for tonight. And I need a meeting with the dean of students first thing in the morning. Not Henderson. The dean. Mrs. Gable nodded, pale. I'll open the emergency guest suite. Harper. I'm so sorry. I didn't want apologies. I wanted blood. The next morning, I didn't go to the dean first. I went to the IT lab. I needed to back up everything. The audio of Henderson accepting the bribe was my nuclear football, and I wasn't going to launch it until the target was locked. I sat in the computer lab, headphones on, listening to the recording I'd made in the park. I already took care of Henderson. A little gift goes a long way. He's on our payroll now. I did some digging. Kyle wasn't just some random husband. A quick search of his name, Kyle Vane, linked to a business that was essentially a pyramid scheme selling sketchy supplements. But more interestingly, I found his LinkedIn. He claimed to be a consultant. I cross-referenced Henderson's recent social media. 2 weeks ago, Henderson had posted a picture of a brand new set of golf clubs and a weekend trip to a luxury resort. On a faculty salary? Unlikely. I put everything on a USB drive. Then I walked to the administration building. Chapter 3, The Boardroom Brawl. Dean Miller was a stern woman with steel gray hair and a no-nonsense reputation. When I walked into her office, she looked tired. My video had gone viral overnight. The university was being tagged in thousands of posts about piss girl and dorm abuse. Sitting in the office, looking smug, was Mr. Henderson. Harper, Dean Miller said, gesturing to a chair. This situation has spiraled out of control. Mr. Henderson here tells me there's been a breakdown in communication. A breakdown? I looked at Henderson. He was smiling that oily, condescending smile. Harper, Henderson said, smoothing his tie. Tiffany is distraught. She admits the accident with the jug was unfortunate, but she claims you provoked her. And frankly, live streaming a mental health crisis? That violates university bullying policies. We're looking at suspension for you. I stared at him. Suspension? For me? You created a hostile environment, Henderson said, shrugging. And you violated her privacy. Kyle is threatening to sue the school. To protect the university, we think it's best if you take a semester off. Withdraw voluntarily, and we won't mark your record. It was exactly what Kyle had said they would do. Make her move out. Bully her into depression. I laughed. It started low and turned into a genuine cackle. Dean Miller looked disturbed. Mr. Henderson, I said, leaning forward. Did you enjoy the golf trip? His smile faltered. Excuse me? The golf trip. The one Kyle paid for. The room went dead silent. That is a baseless accusation, Henderson sputtered, his face turning red. Dean, this student is delusional. Am I? I reached into my bag and pulled out the USB drive. I placed it on the dean's mahogany desk with a click. Dean Miller, on this drive is a video of Tiffany intentionally pouring urine on me. But more importantly, there is an audio recording of Kyle Vane admitting to bribing Mr. Henderson to take care of me. He specifically mentions putting Henderson on the payroll to ignore my complaints and force me out. I looked Henderson dead in the eye. I also have screenshots of your public Venmo transactions from a KV Consulting 3 days before you dismissed my report about the bathroom break-in. Henderson stood up, knocking his chair over. This is illegal. You can't record people without consent. Actually, I said, sweet as poison, this is a one-party consent state. And I recorded the conversation in a public park. It's fully admissible. I turned to the dean. I have already sent a copy of this drive to the Title IX coordinator, the campus police, and my lawyer. If I am suspended, or if Tiffany is allowed back in that room, I will release the Henderson recording to the same TikTok account that currently has 3 million views. Dean Miller picked up the drive. She looked at Henderson, her expression turning into a mask of cold fury. Mr. Henderson, she said quietly. Get out of my office. Go to HR and wait there. Dean, you can't believe. Get out. Henderson grabbed his briefcase and scrambled out of the room like a rat fleeing a sinking ship. Dean Miller sighed, rubbing her temples. Harper, I am going to need you to not post that recording. Then I need Kyle banned from campus, I said. I need Tiffany expelled for assault. And I need a full refund on my housing for this semester for the trauma. She looked at me, assessing the damage. Done. Chapter 4, The Showdown. It wasn't over yet. Tiffany wasn't the type to go quietly, and Kyle was a loose cannon. 2 days later, I was back in the dorm packing up some things to move to my new single room, an upgrade the dean had graciously provided. Chloe and Sam were helping me, both of them silent and shaken. The door banged open. Kyle stood there. He looked disheveled, his eyes bloodshot. He wasn't the slick businessman anymore, he looked like a cornered animal. You bitch, he snarled. You ruined everything. Chloe backed into the corner. Sam grabbed a heavy textbook. I didn't flinch. I was done being scared. Get out, Kyle. The police have a warrant for your arrest for the bathroom incident. And probably for the bribery now, too. You cost me my job, he shouted, stepping into the room. The school banned me. They're evicting Tiffany. Where are we supposed to go? A hotel, I mocked, repeating his wife's words. You have money, right? Employers love that stability. He lunged. But this time, I was ready. I had a canister of pepper gel in my hand, a gift from the RA. I sprayed a solid stream directly into his eyes. Kyle screamed, clutching his face, stumbling back into the hallway. My eyes. Ah! Police, someone shouted from down the hall. It was glorious. 2 officers sprinted up the stairs. They tackled a flailing, blinded Kyle to the ground and cuffed him right there on the dirty carpet. Tiffany appeared at the top of the stairs, waddling and weeping, dragging a suitcase. Kyle! Kyle! She looked at me, standing in the doorway. How could you? We're a family. You're not a family, I said, my voice cold. You're a pair of bullies who thought you could crush someone because you felt entitled to their space. You wanted a nursery? Go build one. I hope you die, she screamed as the police hauled Kyle up. Save your breath, Tiff, I said, slamming the door in her face. Chapter 5, Sophomore Spring. The fallout was swift and brutal. Henderson was fired within the week. The local news picked up the story of the corrupt professor taking bribes from a student's husband. His academic career was over. Kyle was charged with assault, breaking and entering, and attempted bribery. It turned out his business was also under investigation for fraud, so he had plenty of legal battles to keep him busy. Tiffany was expelled. The university has a strict code regarding physical assault, and the urine video was undeniable proof. She tried to sue, claiming discrimination against a pregnant woman, but no lawyer would touch the case once they saw the evidence of her harassing me. Rumor had it she had to move back in with her parents in Ohio, and Kyle was looking at jail time, leaving her to raise the stability baby alone in her childhood bedroom. As for me, I got the single room. But I didn't stay there alone. Chloe, Sam, and I bonded over the trauma. We ended up pushing our beds together in the suite to make a giant movie-watching fort. One Friday night, months later, a storm was raging outside. Rain lashed against the windows, just like that night Kyle had kicked the door down. I was in the shower. The hot water ran over me, washing away the stress of finals. Harper! Chloe yelled from the other room. Pizza's here. Coming! I yelled back. I turned off the water, wrapped myself in a fluffy towel, and walked out into the warm, well-lit dorm room. No one screamed at me. No one flipped the lights off. No one demanded I empty a jug of piss. I sat down on the floor with my friends, grabbed a slice of pepperoni, and took a bite. Peace. It tasted better than revenge. But the revenge was pretty sweet, too. I pulled up my phone. The Piss Girl video had just hit 10 million views, and someone had made a remix of Tiffany screaming, "I'm pregnant," set to a dubstep beat. I liked the post, locked my screen, and enjoyed my night. I had one.